Hello, Internet, and welcome to SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki. I'm joined by the faithful Irish meatball, Mark Sullivan.
Just fucking introduced the show like a goddamn cartoon character. I was trying to
give it some flavor.
Oh man, it's very flavorful. The
I'm
show's
sorry.
very flavorful.
I'm sorry you have no flavor because you're an Irish meatball.
Hey man,
I believe they call it shepherd's pie.
I believe I'm always just as succulent as this show.
Okay, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. This is episode number 41, which when you add them together equals 5.
So it's episode 5. Yeah.
Yes, this is a special little Easter eggs of SonyCentric if you're not paying attention.
There is a thing I do wanna address real quick about the episode numbering.
What is that?
Oh, because we didn't talk about it last episode. We talked about it after the fact because I found out about it then.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're gonna notice on the YouTube channel and on iTunes there is no episode 39. Jason, what happened to 39?
Pour one out for the fallen homie. If you're a loyal viewer, reader, listener, what have you. Basically, if you have seen on the Outerhaven the official page for episode 40, then you would know that in the process of moving over all of my workstation stuff, my workflow stuff to my new computer, there were some casualties. Basically, Windows 10 killed episode 39. It is no more, but we will not record over it. We will not name another episode 39 over it. We will honor our fallen brethren.
So, if you want to feed the console wars, I guess just blame Microsoft for it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of works out.
They're targeting us, man.
Yeah.
So, actually, that's a good segue. I think we should mention this. Up front. Sony lost the NPD reports this month, quote unquote.
Just like we lost episode 39?
Yeah. Exactly. Microsoft's targeting us. No, but the Xbox One was I guess the NPD reports would be for the month of September. Was the best-selling console for September. According to Microsoft, that is. This came from like a press release from Microsoft. We don't know the actual numbers. Obviously, Sony didn't put out a press release because it was not the best-selling console. Right. For all we know, PlayStation might have put out 1 unit globally, and Microsoft put out 2 units globally.
But even so, I want to go ahead and really just add, I gotta say, I feel Microsoft has a better lineup this year anyway.
Oh, sure. I don't mean to sound diminutive. Like, obviously, right. Microsoft does have stuff going for it. Like, for instance, they didn't delay every single major game.
You know, there's a Kaz Harai parody Twitter account that it must have been like a month ago. They tweeted out an image of that one viral image of the dude with the veins popping out of his forehead, like he's like super stressed out, yeah. Saying when Sony doesn't delay a game for 5 minutes. Yeah. That was hilarious, but that's kind of true.
I loved.
This is actually another great segue into next topic, but finish your thought. Go ahead.
Oh, all I was gonna finish with was I loved the first post on the NeoGAF thread about this. Somebody posted Sony sales got delayed to next year.
Yeah, it's
but
like,
yeah.
Like I'm not necessarily surprised by this. Not to mention the pro. We talked about this. I think it was episode 37. The pro event where they announced they finally announced the Slim and the Pro. It was not that well received overall. Like
no, there's not a lot of energy.
Right, and in the meantime, Microsoft put out the Xbox One S, and that's awesome.
And they got one of their big pillars out this holiday season with Gears. They
got Gears coming. They got Forza Horizon 3 is awesome.
I mean, I can't get excited about like Gran Turismo or Forza.
Oh, I mean, neither can I really, but I definitely respect, and I respect those genres, and I respect the people that do like those genres, and everything that I've heard about Horizon 3. We even have a review of it up on the Outerhaven.net. Go check it out. But
Keith liked it?
Yeah, Keith loved it. And that seems to be the general opinion of that game. Like, Xbox has a good year ahead, and Sony kind of doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been seeing the overall thoughts of Gears is that kind of it's Gears, just more Gears. It played it safe, which I guess for the mass audience isn't necessarily a bad thing. For long-time gamers, I guess maybe they hungered for them to take some chances with it, but for the people who are into Microsoft or into their games, more Gears is a great thing.
I mean, really, let's be fair. Uncharted had some new mechanics, and there were a lot of new things in Uncharted, but it still was Uncharted.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot more. The story and the locales are adding a lot more to it. Gears, it's the same location. The games fundamentally look the same, and there's not really.
Well, I guess that's a fair point.
But let's just become a Microsoft podcast.
Right. Let's talk about delays, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's some truth to that hilarious joke. That Sony can't really go very long without delaying another game, because they delayed a game literally the day after we recorded the last episode.
And to be fair, this is probably the most sensical of all of the delays. Sensical, is that even a fucking word?
Yeah, sensical's a word. God, Jason.
Best host ever.
Oh my god.
Gravity Rush 2 got delayed to January 20th.
Yes.
In the UK and the US. Now, the reason for this, honestly, I think it's a great reason to delay it. Not a great. There should have been some foresight put into all this, but basically, when they moved The Last Guardian up, it became too close. Basically, when Final Fantasy 15 got delayed and then The Last Guardian got delayed, they got way too close to the window that Gravity Rush 2 was in, so they decided to push it back to give it more time to breathe.
Gravity Rush 2, yeah, like Gravity Rush 2 is a much like they're pushing it somewhat, and Gravity Rush, if you haven't played it, is a fantastic game. You can get the remastered version on PS4 for really cheap. It's great. I highly recommend it, but it is sort of a niche title. It's not, it's obviously not on the forefront of what they want to push this holiday season.
And it's interesting that they don't push this game more, just because I haven't played the original, but just looking at it, maybe it's the Japanophile in me, but it just the art style, and when you watch it in motion, it just looks amazing. I'm surprised they don't push it more as a marquee action game, but hey, that's just me.
I mean, it's cartoonish, it's kind of Japanesey, not as much as an RPG would be, but it's a Japanese game. I have to imagine that I mean, we already know Sony's really pushing for the third-party stuff this year and last year. With more niche titles like this, I guess they do want to just play it safe. They're pushing it back to January so that it does have room to breathe, so that it's not coinciding with these big releases.
And just so we don't totally sound like wet blankets, more like just moist blankets.
Moist blankets, love it.
If these delays, have any kind of silver lining, it's that 2017 is going to be fucking packed. I mean, even just the late 2016 window, we have Final Fantasy 15 Last Guardian going into now we got Gravity Rush 2 in January. We're gonna have Horizon, theoretically,
5.
Persona 5, Resident Evil 7.
Oh yeah,
theoretically we're supposed to be having Mass Effect 4. It's gonna be packed,
right?
So that's that on the delay front.
there is like some good news to come out of this though. Like they're delaying this game, and besides the good news of if they push this game to a time where it's more solitary, it might sell better. We're going to be getting DLC for free.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention that.
That is awesome. The DLC for the original Gravity Rush, which I think is already packed in with remastered. So like I said, go buy the PS4 version if you haven't played it. You should be getting all the content. The DLC, I mean, it was weird because what it really adds is like a costume for the character, but it also gives you some story missions and some extra challenges. I loved that game enough after beating it that I didn't care. I just wanted more. I didn't care like how that DLC was. I don't know I don't know if we really know what they're planning with premium DLC for this game, but it's free, so who cares? Like that's awesome.
Right.
So.
Right.
Like it sucks that they're pushing it back for the people that were really looking forward to this, but we're getting something out of it for free. That's really awesome.
Now moving on to Jason and Mark's favorite weekly segment. News from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Actually, some pretty radical news. So World of Final Fantasy is getting a free public demo, very similar to the demo we talked about last time with Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah.
Which I think is good news because the overall, consensus on Dragon Quest Builders is very positive.
Yeah.
Like, that game's getting 9s. Like, people are really digging that game.
People, and the Minecraft comparison has been there, but people are saying that this is like, Minecraft, but if you want, like, some epic quest with it.
That's what I said last week, exactly.
And you were talking about that, but like just now the opinion is out there and is a lot more broad. And that's great. That's really, really great.
I also just like that Square is bringing back demos.
Right. Like we got that. Earlier this year we got the Final Fantasy 15 demo, and say what you will about how much there was to do in that. Like it's just great that they're doing demos because demos are kind of a lost art.
Yeah, so this demo is going to be dropping next Tuesday. So let me just check. What day is that? So that's, let's see, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th? 17th or 18th? Hold on.
The 18th. It's the 18th.
18th, yes.
October 18th. Look in the PlayStation Store. Whenever it updates, probably like 5 p.m. Eastern, I think, is when it's updated by. But yeah, if you've been on the fence about that game or you just can't wait for it, like me, download that demo. I am so excited. I still think the art style looks weird and terrible, but that game looks so much fun.
Right, I agree that maybe chibi wasn't the best way to go.
Well,
they could have done cartoony, but not so chibi with the like the actual marquee Final Fantasy characters,
It's interesting because from what I can tell, I'm in the minority and not liking it. Like a lot of people are really high on that art style, and I don't like it just because it's a little too childish for my taste. If there's one thing I think I've said this before, but the environments are breathtaking.
Oh yes, no, definitely I agree with you there. I do agree that like for characters like Cloud, Titus, Sephiroth, Aerith, like all those characters that you can use in battle, I don't like them they basically look like Funko Pops in the game.
And I've notoriously just not liked Funko Pops.
But the monsters do look, I'm okay with the monster designs.
Yeah, I mean, they don't look as bad, but they're also not as, Funko Pop, chibi, whatever.
Right, because a lot of those monster designs are like drawn straight from Super NES days.
Right. But yeah, that demo, go give it a shot. It's free. It's a demo. Come on. What more do you want?
Exactly. And on top of that, PlayStation Blog has some first news regarding the first expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. Mark, you want to dive into this because you're a bit more experienced with that game than me?
Absolutely. So actually what's going on right now is there's the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Festival in Las Vegas. That's going on this weekend, or the weekend that, as of we're recording. And yeah, Justin Massengill over on the PlayStation blog wrote up a preview of the announcement of Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood, which is the second expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. The first one being Heaven's Ward, which came out 2014. So it's roughly 2 years. 2 years later, we're getting a second expansion. There's a trailer out. There's some story details. I'm really behind on Final Fantasy XIV. I love that game, but I have zero time to play it, which is a shame because it is a fantastic MMO. But as far as I can tell, additions are the level cap is being raised once again from 60 to 70. There's going to be some new jobs. There's more details are going to be coming out, and also I guess this is somewhat important to note. Final Fantasy XIV, when it relaunched as A Realm Reborn, was released on PS3 and PS4. PS3 support is going to be be
Yeah, the same thing happened with Destiny.
Yeah,
the latest expansion. So,
and you know what? You can't really be surprised. Because it's 3 years the PS4 has been out. We're almost going on 3 years.
That's like if The Last of Us was supposed to come to PS2.
Yeah,
I mean that's a little exaggerated, but
a little bit. But that's fine. I feel like the one way this could possibly sting for MMO fans, or especially Final Fantasy MMO fans, is it took a very long time for them to drop support for Final Fantasy XI on PS2. Whereas this is 3 years later for
right.
for A Realm Reborn. Maybe that stings for these fans, but I don't know. I actually jumped in on PS3 for A Realm Reborn when it came out, and I upgraded to PS4 immediately because I got it at launch. I'm not really affected by this.
I think people need to understand though that it's just everything scales. Like the servers are bigger. The amount of tech going into just development, the development costs on the consoles much bigger than it was. It's not a fair comparison,
Right. I don't know that people are really too upset about this. I mean, this news also just came out today as we're recording. Like mere hours ago, really. I don't know how the reaction is to this yet. I can't imagine it's going to be too bad. I feel like I feel like a lot of people playing this game are actually playing on PC. I kind of feel like the majority of them are on PC.
Of course, that's where the MMO. Yeah, that's where the MMO audience is.
I mean, personally, I love playing this game on console, but probably the majority on.
Yeah, there is a sizable audience that, like you and me, have been craving a good Final Fantasy game, and this is really the only alternative.
And you know what? This game plays really, really well on console, frankly. There are some things that can be kind of a challenge. Sometimes the UI is difficult to navigate, and chatting with people, unless you connect a keyboard, it's so daunting and difficult. It can be hard to do instance dungeons and stuff, and coordinating with your team when the communication is so limited. But
there's no mics.
Otherwise. No, not. You have to party up if you want to have voice chat. And since they have their own account system, it's kind of difficult to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an MMO. You're supposed to go into it and, for the most part, play with people that you're somewhat familiar with.
Right.
This game does make it pretty nice to party up with complete strangers, but like I said, sometimes communication can be difficult.
Well, you know what? All this Final Fantasy news has me juiced.
Same.
Especially with 15 coming up. I mean, you got a funny story about Kingsglaive.
Oh, jeez. All right. Yeah. So my Kingsglaive story.
For those of you who don't know, Kingsglaive is the movie tie-in. It's like a prequel to Final Fantasy 15, the animated movie.
Starring Aaron Paul.
Yeah, Jesse Pinkman is the main character of the movie.
Bitch.
And he's like King Noctis's King Noctis.
He's Noctis.
Like King Regis's bodyguard.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I still haven't seen the movie. I was kind of bitter and upset that it didn't play in a theater anywhere near me. Cause I really wanted to see that in the theater. So it came to on demand. I was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. And I was just gonna wait until the game came out, because I have the Ultimate Collector's Edition, which I'll be getting a copy of the movie. But then the game got delayed, so like, okay, I have to wait longer now. And then I saw on Amazon that they're selling a steelbook copy of Kingsglaive, and I'm like, you know what? I'll get myself a steelbook copy. That's nice. So I order it, and I get a notification from Amazon that there was an attempted delivery, and they wouldn't leave it.
Attempted delivery.
Yeah, because I apparently wasn't home, and they wouldn't just leave it. I'm like, why? So they.
I'm thinking about the delivery man just standing outside your door, scratching his head. He doesn't know what to do.
Hey, shout out to USPS, but that's what they do most of the time. Not a good shout out to USPS.
Well,
the United States Postal Service is I am very, very angry at them most of the time. But anyway, I thought I was going to have to go to my local post office to pick it up, and turns out I get it the next day. I'm at home, I get a notification on my phone saying, hey, your package is delivered. So I was like, oh shit, I can watch this movie now. I run downstairs from my apartment, I see an envelope with my name on it, and the envelope is like weathered and beaten. And it looks like it had been through some hurricane. Maybe it was. Maybe
it actually
it timed up with that hurricane.
They drove straight through the hurricane to get it to your house.
But yeah, so I open up the envelope, I take out my lovely steelbook case that is bent and dented and just in terrible shape. And so, yeah, needless to say, I left it sealed the next day. I took it in with me to work, and I printed out a return label and sent it back. So they sent me another copy. That was attempted delivery yesterday. I was actually gonna go see if I could pick it up today after we're done here. See if I can fucking finally get my movie.
Well, I did see the movie.
I'm apparently destined to never watch it. I'm never gonna get to see Kingsglaive.
Well, the only reason I bring Kingsglaive up, aside from the fact that that's a fucking hilarious story, is, no, just with, we got this. Who would have thought Final Fantasy XIV, after that disastrous launch, would keep going? They invested, they rebooted it, it's a success, and they're continuing to release, expansions for it. Who would have thought we would get something like World of Final Fantasy? But lo and behold, we're getting it. And we're getting all these like little mini games, mobile games for Final Fantasy,
God.
like tie-ins.
Hey, you want to know? You want to know what I think about that? As a big Final Fantasy mobile game player,
what?
You need to calm the fuck down.
Well, no, I agree. Unlike the rest of it, which has been either in the case of the movie, okay, to like some of this other stuff is awesome. Like the mobile scene does need to they need to take it down a notch.
I mean,
but
I love that I love how much they're doing. I feel like the mobile games is like Justice Monsters 5. That was really cool, and then it came out and I played it a little bit. It's to just give you some impressions of what I thought of the little bit of time I spent with it. And keep in mind,
right.
Yeah, I did stop playing it pretty soon after. It's just for a pinball game, it is very overwhelming.
Right.
It's like they tried to truck in as many RPG elements they could into a pinball game. It's like, guys, like I wish it was just simple. I almost wish it was just a score-chasing pinball game.
Right.
But like, if you download that, and you play it for 10 minutes, you will not finish all the tutorial stuff. There is so much that they just they throw at you, and it's like, guys, this is just it's just pinball. Just give me pinball. And they're doing that other game. I don't even remember what it's called. A Knight's Tale or something.
Yeah,
which is apparently a remake of an old Square game that somehow is connected to Final Fantasy 15. And with that trailer, it was cute at the end how they were all the party in 15 were sitting around a campfire, all playing on their phones, playing that game, and it was a cute, cheeky moment. But I don't know. The mobile game stuff, it's a little overwhelming. I'm just waiting for them to announce, Noctis and the group and the gang are added to Record Keeper. I'll be so happy when that happens.
And it's not even just Final Fantasy though. It's also Dragon Quest that they're trying to bring back. Between the Warrior series, now we got Builders. They re-released 7 on the DS. They're re-releasing 8 on the DS. Obviously, this is all building up to the newest one that was announced, God, a while back now.
Yeah.
11 was announced. We got like a few screenshots here and there of it, like very early screenshots. So, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest kind of, have always been the pinnacle representation of Japanese RPGs to mainstream audiences, at least. The reason I bring this up, and I find this so fascinating, how much Square is just pushing all of this stuff, because if you think about it, like, when was the last time that Final Fantasy and especially Dragon Quest were like in the public mind space this much? And then I look over and I watch a video of the first 20 minutes of the Japanese version of Persona 5, and I see in threads all the people who are hyped for a Persona game. I mean, I just gotta ask you this question, Mark. Do you think Persona is gonna be, like, Persona 5 specifically, is going to be, like, a challenger? If not, do you think it might dethrone and, decrease the relevance of Final Fantasy?
Oh, no. They're both much different games. Persona has its innovations, with its self-defined innovations, or its self-contained innovations, where it changes things up. But Persona, really, I feel, since 3, has been the same song and dance. You're a kid in high school, and you're doing social links, and then at midnight, you go and fight demons. Whereas Final Fantasy, with every iteration, something major changes. There's a major switch. We went from, I don't want to go too far back in time, but we went from 10, which was a very linear, like, to-the-point RPG, to 11, which was the first MMO, to 12, which was a single-player MMO, basically, to 13, which was vastly different in many ways.
It was almost, in some ways, it tried to take that MMO battle, like, what was it called, the Gambit system?
Oh, we're talking about 12, yeah.
Yeah, in 13, 13's battle system was this weird fusion of, like, active time battle and, like, taking gambits and trying to streamline it and
calling them paradigms.
Yeah, and make it fast enough that it was almost an action game.
Really, 13 was more than people give it credit for. 13 was extremely strategic in its battle system. Nobody really understands that because they think that it's just about pressing A to win or pressing X to win, auto battle, la 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 la. But really, it's those paradigm shifts. There are some very, very difficult moments in that game because you have to have your paradigms right and you have to switch them at the right times if you want to succeed.
Well, not many people made it to those moments.
Not many people made it to those moments, and that's the
issue.
big problem. They didn't give it enough of a chance. I'm a big 13 apologist. I really like 13, and I think it has many saving graces. But
just so everybody understands, I am not defending 13 here, Marquez.
I am. I really like 13.
Although I do agree with his assessment that combat was one area that game was strong in. It's just people generally got too bored to get to the areas of the game where the combat actually started to show its true colors.
Right, and I, for the record, will not support 13-2 or Lightning Returns. I kind of thought those games were red hot trash because of the story. But moving back, at least to the Persona conversation, Persona, it's much more Japanese.
Oh, of course.
Isn't a bad thing, but I guess it kind of is for sales in the sense that it people here in the West, they're not as into that. It's not gonna reach as much of an audience that Final Fantasy does, just because Square has that marketing push in the West. They don't just do, like, Atlus. Atlus is very, very Japanese. They push out a lot of Japanese games. But Square Enix, they push out Final Fantasy and they push out Dragon Quest, but they also do Hitman. They also do Tomb Raider. Like, they do these games that are big over here in the West. They have that name recognition. Not to mention, they have a much more storied and long history in the West. Final Fantasy has been big over here since, really, the early 90s, maybe late 80s even, with the first game. Final Fantasy has that name recognition without Square having anything to do with it.
Well, Well, it's Squaresoft, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But yeah, just seeing Square, people know who that is, and people know what Final Fantasy is. Persona, I have no doubt, Persona 5 is going to be huge for that franchise, much bigger than 4 was.
Yes, because four was like kind of the hey, what's this? And people are saying, and I use myself as a great example. Like I own a copy of 4 for the PS2, but I never played it because back in the day, like I remember seeing 3. And I like rented it and started playing it a bit, but then I'm like, oh crap, my friends can't see me play this because this is like a dating sim. With, like this isn't as cool as Final Fantasy VII. Like my friends,
you let the stigma get to you.
Exactly. So like
now dating sims are like they're okay for the most part.
But like I had a copy of 4 for PS2. I don't remember how it came to me. It was a secondhand copy, but I never played it. But now I just watched this video footage of 5, and the art style, like everything about it, the art style, the whole concept of a group of kids who are thieves, like it just all like sounds so awesome, and I'm so jazzed to play it. I feel like that's just a microcosm of the way RPG fans are feeling right now about that series, and people really think that this is going to be the one that like makes it like one of the top tier RPG series.
I mean, yeah, and we can talk if we want to analyze a little bit more about 4. 4 came out at a pretty unfortunate time. Like 4 is a fantastic game. It kind of suffered from two things. It came out in 2008.
Right, it was a transition period.
Right, it was a transition period, and the PS3 was sort of at the time picking up a little bit more speed. At that rate?
Yeah, it had already dropped price, right?
I don't know, but it at the very least had more competent games out by then. Not to mention,
Metal Gear was out, I think, at that point, right?
Metal Gear came out, in 2008. I don't know. That was definitely a big selling factor. But that's when Persona 4 came out, during that transition period, and then we got Persona 4 Golden, which came out for the PlayStation Vita.
That's the one that, like, really, I think, got people talking.
Yeah, and that's really what got people talking, but if we look at sales of the Vita, we look at the status of the Vita, that's the best game on that system, and that's, a re-release of an older game. 4 kind of has this cult status that's I feel is really pushing Persona 5 more so to the forefront, because here you go. You missed out on Persona 4 because it was on the PS2 after the PS3 had already come out, and it's on the PS Vita, which nobody bought, unfortunately, because the Vita's awesome. Here's Persona 5. It's coming to PS4 and PS3, if you still are holding on to that. It's coming to the current gen system. It's coming to the system that most people are buying now. That's going to be huge for this game, given that it now has some sort of reputation here in the West.
Right.
So, I don't know that it's going to dethrone Final Fantasy. It's definitely going to make a name for itself, more so than it ever has before.
Yeah, if nothing else, I think it's because even if Persona wasn't coming out, like 15 is kind of make or break for Square Enix and this franchise, and I think they know it.
And
which is why you see them throwing all this, trying to grab the mind space.
Right. And another big difference between the two is we still don't really know completely what to expect from 15 because it's not out anywhere yet. Persona 5 is out in Japan. If you want to, you can go on Amazon Japan, purchase a copy, and have it shipped to the US.
But it did extremely. It has like a 39 out of 40 in Famitsu. Or it might have it perfect. It might have it perfect. I don't know.
Famitsu, I mean, to just play devil's advocate there, Famitsu, especially when it comes to a big game like Persona would be, they tend to skew their scores really highly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But and history shows that. We can go back to Final Fantasy 13. Well, Final Fantasy 13 had high scores all around. It's mostly fans that have problems with that game, but Famitsu especially historically skews scores really highly on big Japanese titles. But that being said, still Persona 5, it's selling well. It's being well received by fans and the Japanese audience. That game is out and you can buy it. It's in Japanese, but you can buy it. Final Fantasy 15 is not out yet. We still don't really know what to expect from it.
True. Although it has been getting increasingly positive feedback from those who have seen it privately.
From preview events. I mean, there were some. I know at E3 there were some technical issues that a lot of people were citing that they were a little concerned, which is presumably why the game was delayed. To make, I mean, we already know that they want to decrease that day one patch and put more of the bug fixes onto the game disc itself.
Yeah, but now there is video footage out there now of the final build, presumably.
Right.
So, on that note, I think that was a great conversation. Lest we go too far into, because we could really get into the weeds. But I mean, overall, my final thought on it is, either way, whether or not Final Fantasy gets dethroned, or whether things kind of the status quo remains, I think it's awesome that there even is two competing franchises. You know, because the competition just forces Square to really step it up in terms of on the Final Fantasy front, you know, and
absolutely.
Same with, I mean, Atlus, I feel like regardless, they don't really need, or they probably don't feel they need to step it up because of kind of the cult nature of Persona, and the fandom is the fandom. They're gonna love it either way. But either way, we're getting a shit ton of awesome JRPGs out of it. So
yeah,
more than we've gotten in a while.
Yeah, this is awesome. I can't wait for. I mean, I'm getting both 15 and Persona 5, and you know, also World of Final Fantasy. Like, I'm excited. Hopefully, I'll have time to actually play all these JRPGs.
Yeah, Mark's got such a big boner right now.
Oh,
anyway, this has been SonyCentric, and we want to know, what do you think? Are you into Final Fantasy? Are you into Persona? Are you into none of it? Do you hate dating sims in which you simulate dating during the day and fight demons at night? Let us know in the comments. Like this video if we did a good job, if we entertained you, and please subscribe and check out all of the Outerhaven Net's official video content. Of course, as always, I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki, and I was joined today by Mark Sullivan. Unfortunately, the lovely Delilah Lugo was not here. We two-manned it. As they say in some countries, we scrotumed it. It's cool.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Peace out, internet.
Goodbye.